Hi, I'm Jim Del Vecchio. Welcome to my video book, Jesus Speaks, Food for the Soul. The title explains pretty much what the subject matter is, Jesus speaking to the world in the present times. And as you might imagine from him, he speaks about love, forgiveness, and self-nourishment. He has spoken through intuitives that I have studied. He has spoken through his own dictated book, A Course in Miracles, and there's a strong possibility he speaks through you and me at times. Depending on your background, you might be surprised or even shocked by what you will be reading, or you might take it in stride. Enjoy and soak up the nourishment. It could change your life like nothing else. I'd like to acknowledge the wonderfully talented angel communicators I've studied and quoted. Also my videographers, Colin and Sharon Hill of SMU Productions in Oldsmar, Florida. And of course, all the cooperation given by high-level spiritual beings. Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the angels, their love for mankind is boundless. Since the last book, which was Manifesting Abundance, the Universal Key, I was given a circle meditation and was told to share it with you. Basically involves spinning your hands around in front of you. What I do it like a clockwise fashion, although when I asked I was working with an angel communicator, if it should be counterclockwise or clockwise, she said they were kind of laughing. So I guess it really doesn't matter, but I do it clockwise. And I just imagine, in your mind, the creative aspect of your mind is very powerful. So I just imagine creating a vortex of energy in front of me. And Jesus said he could, if you asked him to, he would ground the energy, if you're comfortable with that. And then I imagine stepping inside the vortex. And then I imagine what I want in that vortex of energy. So you can imagine a healthy body, a great relationship, whatever you want, good job, and see it with your mind's eye. From what I gather, it doesn't matter too much whether the energy, I've just said that, is spinning clockwise or counterclockwise. After trying this myself for several months, I have to say that it does seem to help with manifestation, so you might want to try it. Okay, so Jesus gave me 4, and this came from Emily Rivera. She's saying he's giving you 4 parts to the book that he wanted me to write this book. And number 1 was Transmuting Karma. And he told me that he told Emily this book would be correlated with A Course in Miracles and other processes that represent motivation for others and their journey. Now, since he didn't spell out exactly what I should write, I assume that the opinions I currently hold on each subject of the 4 have some value, so I'm just going to wing it and put it out there. Now, this is starting with the Transmuting Karma. Karma, if you don't know, is the theory it comes from mainly the Eastern religions, I think, that basically there's reincarnation, and then we incur karma as we go through an incarnation. If we do good things, we're going to get rewarded with good experiences in this life, or maybe the next life if we have to come back. And then the same thing if we do bad things, if we hurt people. And the idea with that is that we keep, through successive lifetimes, we get to a level where we don't have to come back anymore. Let's say the level where Jesus was, or other masters, you get to that level and then you don't have to come back to the earth plane anymore. But this was something that was given, Jesus gave to Helen Schuckman, who is the scribe of the course, and Bill Thetford was her boss, who she wrote down notes like shorthand, and she came in. Helen was so anxious about what was happening because she wasn't thinking of herself as a psychic person who hears voices. She was hearing Jesus' voice, and she couldn't even deal with it. So she said, "I'm just going to take down the notes." And she came in the next morning and she read them to Bill, and then he typed them out. But this is not actually in the published course. This is in the text, which is there's some private notes to Helen and Bill that did not make it into the published course, and I think this is one of them. Jesus says, one of the main dangers of karmic theories is the tendency it induces to engage in the genetic fallacy, overlooking the truly religious fact that now is the only time. That's a very significant statement. The course is so profound. It has beautiful language. While I'm on that, so about 40% of it was dictated in iambic pentameter, or Shakespearean blank verse. And Helen and Bill didn't even know it until hundreds of pages, I guess, into the manuscript. But what Jesus is saying here is that separation never really occurred, or maybe just as soon as it occurred, the Holy Spirit was created to answer it. And basically is what he's saying. The karmic theories is saying that there's good and bad, and that there's sin in the world. And what Jesus is telling us in the course is that there is no sin, because this is an illusion, and that we are with God, and we have a soul which is without sin. And so if you believe in sin, you probably will incur karma. You're going to keep coming back, or you're not going to forgive. Forgiveness is huge in the course. And I've heard it said that the angels say that their realm, it's always now. There's no past or future. It's always now. And I don't know if I'm getting this across well, but basically Jesus is saying that if there's no sin, there's nothing to keep coming back for, because it's just, you're with God again, just like Alpha and Omega, that there's no space and there's no time. There's only now. And this is how Jesus can communicate with a lot of people over a wide, over the whole earth probably, because there's no space either. His presence or whatever can span what we consider to be large distances. Part 2 is overcoming obstacles. And this quote is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Bad times have a scientific value. These occasions are occasions a good learner would not miss. I love that quote because that's the way I look at it. Again, that's the classroom vision of the happy dream. You know, every time something happens, something bad happens, quote unquote, the good learner is going to learn it and do something differently the next time. Foibles, character defects, addictions, weaknesses, the various challenges that many of us have to overcome. And I've been given the information that, to give to you to address the vulnerability, to take responsibility, admit it to yourself and maybe to at least one other human being. Many people are into denial. And I want to mention that it takes courage to recognize you have a problem. And once you recognize it, then do something about it. Get help. You'd be surprised how many communities have resources and programs that can help if you really look into it. And there's someone probably out there who's an expert in it who wrote a book about it that could help you. So work at it. See the problem as a spiritual challenge. And then exercise gratitude. For example, thank you for this situation. Show me how this works out for my benefit. And then do the footwork. Is there a course that you could take? Is there a support group to attend? Is there a book in the library or elsewhere that you could read? Pray and believe you, God, have the best plan for my life. Guide me into harmony with your plan by my navigational system. And when I say that, I think of my senses, thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Guide me into harmony with your plan with an attitude of gratitude, thanking you for what is. And then also I look for I do try to improve my life, but I also have gratitude for what is right now. This is the navigational system that I use. The senses, for example, I might have a friend, Hal, who said hurtful things to me. Then my thoughts are, the senses I took in the information, I heard what Hal said, and I had a thought about it. I thought maybe Hal's jealous. And then I had an emotion maybe where I felt sad or I felt angry or fearful. And then I have a behavior. I think through this and I think, well, Hal's a nice guy and we have a good friendship. Maybe I'll have a talk with him and then we'll come to an understanding. So this is what I think of as my navigational system to guide me from feeling those feelings of sadness and anger, fear. I like to think of fear underlies just about everything, all negative emotions. And then eventually it'll come to forgiveness and then love. Sometimes I use my imagination and think of what could have happened. For example, I might have hurt someone in a past life maybe, or this life, and this is my karmic debt that I'm paying off. And then I get a good feeling because I think I would love to pay off debts. I like that feeling of freedom. And so I feel if I owed a debt to somebody, then I pay it off. I feel good about it. Or I might think of, for example, if someone cuts me off in traffic, I have a choice. Do I get angry? Well, many times I'll say to myself, Jim, have you ever cut someone off in traffic? Of course, the answer is no, I never have. But yeah, right. I was a taxi driver, so you know that I cut people off in traffic. So, that's what I think of. I go through that process. Well, of course you cut people off in traffic, and they didn't beep the horn at you or give you an obscene gesture, so don't do that to this person. So it's a good example of breaking denial. This comes from the angels. Through an angel communicator, challenges sometimes allow a leap ahead into the future. And that's why I like to think of it. You get a challenge, you get something. For example, when I was in the hospital, that was really, painful, physically painful. There was scared because I thought maybe I was going to lose my life. In some ways, it was the worst thing that happened, but in many ways, it was the best thing that happened to me because it set me on this spiritual path that I've been on for years. This comes from the Course in Miracles workbook lesson 163. Course in Miracles, by the way, has a text, and then it has workbook lessons, the 365 lessons for each day of the year. And this is a prayer that Jesus is giving us. Our Father, bless our eyes today. We are your messengers, and we would look upon the glorious reflection of your love, which shines in everything. We live and move in you alone. We are not separate from your eternal life. There is no death, for death is not your will. Now, sacred space, Jesus is giving me this to write to you about. It's talking about our body is the temple of the soul. To take time, he wants us to take time to connect to meditate, if you like meditating, formal meditation, or you can do walks, you can knit, do whatever it takes to feel present. And more information, the soul is like a small circle in our heart. It holds a lot. It's powerful. It goes wherever we go, and we can always connect to it. Speaking of the heart, the Institute of Heart Math again did research and found that when an individual shows some precognition, what they did was they showed subjects pictures again to elicit strong emotions, and then they measured a response just prior to showing the picture, and they found many people have precognition. They sort of had a response before they saw the picture. They found that the heart is the place that shows the initial response. Then the brain responds, which surprised me. I thought it would occur in the brain first, but no, it was the heart first, then the brain, then the responses, the impulses were sent to the muscles and the nerves. Many of the readings correctly predicting that I was manifesting said that I listened, that I created harmony or state of peace. The way I did that was to meditate, to get quiet, to connect, even if it was at a red light. As I said, I just do it throughout my day, and I feel grateful throughout the day. And then reading spiritual literature like A Course in Miracles has helped too. And that seems to be what this idea of sacred space is getting at. This is part 4, in the last part. He talks about diet. And from Mahatma Gandhi, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. So, and Jesus says this in the Course too, you are responsible for your thoughts, not just for what you do, but you're responsible for your thoughts, because that's the only place, he says, I'm just paraphrasing now, he says, this is the only place, your thoughts is the only place where you can exercise choice. And Jesus said from a reading, he started talking about beliefs about what we consume and impart, body, mind, and soul. Make conscious choices. If the underlying belief is that food hurts, it is so. So I asked, does that mean that it doesn't matter what we eat? And the answer was, from Jesus, three times he said that it is not easy. He said it takes much practice, but yes, it does not matter. We choose what food will do to the body. But I always like to, I don't want to be, you should always check with your doctor, and I don't want to go out there and tell people that you don't have to be worried about what you eat. And Jesus goes on in the Course, in the Course it agrees with the message I got from the angel communicator. This is from the Course. It says, you think you must obey the laws, quote unquote, of medicine, of economics, of health, of nutrition, of immunization, of medication. Protect the body and you will be saved. These are not laws, but madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything that you made in opposition to God's will. So now again, it's saying that we made this world, right? So we made all this stuff, and we think that the body gets sick. And he's saying that we can, in our mind, we can choose differently. And also the Course, when it talks about mind, it's not talking about the brain really, it's talking about the spiritual level of mind. And I don't know how to explain that any better. I really don't feel myself to be an expert in the Course. And when I was chosen to do this, I think, could you choose somebody better? Because I don't think I'm really an expert, but I'll do the best I can. So I'm trying to incorporate the idea, but at the same time trying to watch what I eat. And this is what I would suggest for a lot of people probably. If I can take care of health without medication, that's great, but I still use medicine, and I try to be careful about my diet somewhat. And very interestingly, that day I had that reading, I ate a donut and a chocolate bar the previous day to the reading, and I felt a little bit guilty about it. I felt like, how you feel when you go off your diet? I don't really like to eat like that too much. But when I was getting that reading from Emily, she quoted Jesus as, I get the laugh, as asking if I like donuts and a candy bar. And I told her, yeah, I just had it like yesterday, both of them. So I was thinking either he wants to show that this reading is real, that it's really him, or maybe he responded because I felt guilty about eating the donut and candy bar, or maybe both. In the Ur-text, that portion of Helen's notes that was not published, he states again, as quoted in the Bible, as saying that his followers can eat any deadly thing and it will not harm them. So again, this goes right along to what he's saying. So evidently, I guess you get to that level, a certain high level, and then you can just be immune to everything. So again, still I advise people to eat healthy food because I don't want you to go out there and just think you can eat anything, because again, he stated 3 times in that reading, it's not easy. So I think it requires a high level of development. The poor man's diet versus the standard American diet are sad. When I want to lose weight, I'll eat frozen veggies, salads, very low fat. I've heard that it's not only cheaper, but it's better for you. As people have more money, they seem to make poor health choices, and that's where the standard American diet comes in. We're a affluent society, but we're not as healthy as we could be. I'm not a vegetarian myself, but I believe it's probably the healthiest diet that you can have. Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video book. If you want to contact me, my email address is jim@learntoattractabundance.com. I urge you to go to the website. There's a lot of neat stuff on there. And I also have investor training programs. I'm a stock market expert, if I didn't say that before. And I can teach you how to trade the stock market, how to beat the best money managers in the world, and with mutual funds or with stocks. And there's, again, book, there's DVDs, there's an audiobook, and coaching is available as well. If you want to meet with me individually, we can do it over the phone, we can do it through email. Good luck, everybody. God bless.